Hi, I'm Christina Taramoto, Vice President of Client Services. I had the pleasure of coaching Preston Abbott on his REDTALK about the power of daily habits and removing distractions. I'm really proud of all of the hard work he did, and I'm excited to incorporate some of the takeaways into my everyday life, and hopefully you are too. Great job, Preston.
I am struggling. I don't have enough time, or I am so overwhelmed right now. These are all things that we've likely said at some point in our professional lives. Even worse is the feelings or actions that come along with these statements. Working long hours, feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and maybe even hopeless that you'll never catch up. This was me, a new manager and leader who always felt like I was either going to fail my team or my team lead at any given time, and it doesn't have to be like this. One thing that all of these statements and feelings have in common is they're tied to time. If we just had more time in the day is what we'll usually say that could fix all of our problems. But time is often what we want most, but what we have the hardest time utilizing effectively. There's good news though. We all get the same exact amount of hours in the day. And the even better news is that there are proven methods for getting the most out of those hours through forming daily habits, reducing distraction periods, and improving our self-evaluation methods. Writer of The Compound Effect, Darren Hardy says, consistency is the key to achieving and maintaining momentum. In other words, our habits are what set us apart from our peers and competitors. So it's widely known that consistent exercise is a part of a healthy lifestyle, and that one 3.5-hour session, one time per week, will never stand up to 30 minutes per day. So why would we expect a healthy business to operate this way? When we have the opportunity to work more consistently on certain items within our daily operations, instead of that weekly or monthly touch point, we should take it, and here's why. Our brains work no different than our bodies when it comes to muscle memory and repetitive actions. Every day you work on something, you're going to be getting better at that and effectively reducing the time it takes to complete that task the following day. Let's use accounts receivable as an example for our on-site teams. Those notes are due to your OpSale team member once per week, but that doesn't mean you can only touch it once per week. Following up on these items daily will not only increase your knowledge of the system, but effectively reduce the time it takes to complete that task in the future. You will also see improved results and less buildup of work over time. If you're into sports, you've likely heard a head coach say at some point in time that we're going to get 1% better today. But what no one ever discusses is the fact that anytime you're not investing time into a skill or knowledge, you're effectively losing that. So in essence, if you're not getting 1% better, you're getting 1% worse. We used AR as an example before, but this can apply to any part of your role. The secondary impact of these daily touch points is always having your finger on the pulse of what you're working on. If you're working through something every day, you're going to be much more knowledgeable about it than that once per week touch point. So not only will these new habits improve performance and give you time back, they will also make you more knowledgeable about these items when they come up in conversation. Habits aren't the only thing that can help us take some ownership of our day. According to a University of California Irvine study, it takes on average 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back to the task at hand once we've become distracted. That is a very long time. That could mean almost 1 hour of your day is gone with just 3 distractions alone. Now, I'm not naive, and I'm not going to tell you about all the crazy devices they make nowadays, like the thing where you can lock your phone in a box with a timer, because distractions are inevitable. Email, GChat, text messages, social media, all come at us almost every minute of our lives, but we can't let these distractions stop us from achieving our goals. So, the obvious solution is to limit our distractions, right? Don't we all wish it were that simple? The less obvious solution is to actually group our distractions together by how long they can wait. In computer science, this idea goes by the name of interrupt coalescing. This was developed in 2013 and triggered a massive improvement in device battery life. By allowing the system to check all of its notifications at once, and then quickly re-enter its standard operating state. While you're not a computer, adopting a similar approach can give the same benefits to real people, allowing us to reclaim one of our most precious resources, our time and attention. For you, this could be outlining some of your common distractions and figuring out how you can group those together. For me, my personal favorites are email, GChat, and phone notifications. All of these can go for about a 1 to 2 hour window without response. Every 1 to 2 hours, you could spend some intentional time responding to these inquiries for about 10 to 15 minutes instead of breaking the flow of your work every time one of those comes in. Our devices can even set us up for success by deferring these notifications for us. The best example is your GChat, and you can even include a notification to the person reaching out, letting them know why they will receive a delay in response. Now, you're probably thinking how crazy I am for suggesting scaling down your immediate availability, or that it's even possible to touch every operational facet of your day, but I can tell you this works. I implemented this while I was a community manager and a traveling community manager, and residents and team members alike grew to love the structure set because the results spoke for themselves. There were no more constant interruptions for me, and I had better dedicated time to work for the community's improvements. Resident issues were no longer fielded on the fly, where the results could likely turn into a stressful situation, but they were invited back later once we had a solution for all. Team members became more independent and curious, answering questions they had on their own and not relying on me as a crutch. The biggest challenge isn't that we intentionally get distracted or work on the wrong things, because that would be easy to fix. Our biggest challenge is that we tend to sleepwalk through our daily choices. So my challenge to you is, start inspecting what you expect, even within yourself, your daily habits, and those distractions that steal our attention. I use a tool that we all have access to, and that's just your Google Calendar. Map out your time after the fact for a few weeks to see where it's all going, and be honest with yourself. Nobody is asking you to become the computer I talked about earlier. Spending time getting to know your team members, answering their questions, fielding resident issues, and responding to emails are all still very important. Knowing how much time you're spending on these items and how they're impacting your other work could just be what you need to see to enact some change. Because the first step toward change is awareness. If you want to get from where you are to where you want to be, you have to be aware of those things that are driving you away from your desired destination. When we're making choices unconsciously, we can't consciously choose to change that ineffective behavior into those productive habits. I know I had no idea how much time I was actually spending on those interruptions, and detailing it out this way was very eye-opening. Implementing real change can be enacted by using the same tool we mentioned before, your calendar, to map out those daily habits we talked about in advance. You will never be able to plan out your full day ahead of time, because shit happens. But by being in control of what we're actually able to control, most will find that they are less stressed and find freedom in the consistency that this is going to provide. For our on-site team members, dedicate time each day to review work orders before a resident comes to you with concerns. And spend time making delinquency calls each day before they're due, all on the same day. And most importantly, dedicate specific time to team member development so that you can begin delegating items when appropriate and free yourself up for even more of an impact. As I mentioned at the beginning, forming these daily habits, reducing my distractions, and really taking a hard look in the mirror helped me go from a stressed and overwhelmed leader to someone who feels totally in control of their day. My favorite analogy for this compounding effect you're going to be creating through these actions is actually Newton's first law, the law of inertia. Objects at rest tend to stay at rest unless acted upon, and objects in motion tend to stay in motion unless something stops their momentum. High achievers, those who have mastered control of their actions and attention, tend to only find more success as time goes on. So let's keep the momentum rolling and take control of your days to come.